Namaste. I am Anisha Sethi, and I'm the Chief Awareness Officer at Black Lotus. I welcome you all to a unique global show called Mindful to Mindful. We bring to you inspirational stories from across the globe where people have had a beautiful journey from their mind full of noise and chaos to a state of tranquility and serenity, which we call mindfulness. Today, I have a very special guest. Her name is Anjali Mehta. Anjali Mehta is a TEDx speaker. She's a yoga enthusiast and a research student at New York University. She's full of multi dimensions, creativity, vigor, and energy, which is so amazingly infectious. It is my pleasure to invite Anjali Mehta to the show. Thank you, Anjali, for coming on the show. Namaste. Hi, Anjali. It is such a pleasure to have you today. And I am super thrilled to have a conversation with you on your mindfulness journey. But you are super young and you have accomplished the kind of things that I probably would, dream of accomplishing in a few years from now. So tell me about yourself. What are the things that you're doing? And we all would love to know about you.
Sure. So as of now, I'm a senior at New York University. I'm getting a Bachelor of Science in Applied Psychology and Philosophy, and a master's in mental health counseling. In the future, I want to get a PhD in clinical psychology to practice as a psychotherapist. But I have been doing yoga for many years now, and it's really been a very big part of my life. So in the future, I definitely hope to, continue the involvement of yoga in my practice as a clinical psychologist. Um, I was a certified yoga instructor at 14, and then I became a yoga therapist. And then after that, I spent a month in Mysore to do my 500-hour yoga teacher training. But my practice has been very traditional, and I focus a lot on breathing, and definitely mindfulness is of course a big part of yoga. So that's also a big part of my teaching.
Beautiful. Nice to know that. And you have a multidimensional personality. So beautiful. Kudos for that. So, actually, I understand that you come from a family of yoga enthusiasts. And tell me more about it. How did it all started? You say you started yoga and meditation and pursuing mindfulness quite early in your childhood. So tell us about it. How did it all started?
Of course. So, my when I was younger, my dad was very much into meditation, mindfulness, vipassana, art of living, all of that. And then my mother was more into yoga. So she would, at a very young age, her and her aunt would teach me sun salutation. They would wake me up early in the morning to do like sun salutation in our house. And then my father he really pushed me into meditation and teaching me how to meditate and everything. But at a young age, they never really told me what I was doing and why I was doing it. It was just something that I was just doing for the sake of doing it without really knowing why. And so I never really enjoyed it. It was just something that my parents asked me to do, so I went along with it. And
Sure.
then a few years after that, when I was about 14, my parents put me in a yoga teacher training because they were like, you need to learn about what yoga is. And they never had any intention of me actually coming out as a yoga teacher. They just wanted me to learn more about what yoga is, how it can help me. And on the very first day when I met my Guruji, Manojji at Vyasa Yoga, I just fell completely in love. The way that he explained what yoga is, how it can help, how it can help us in a very scientific way, and in such a simplistic definition of yoga. So I just fully fell in love with it. And just him as a presence was so wonderful. So that's really where my yoga journey began. And in terms of mindfulness, that came a lot after. Like for me, I'm the type of person where yoga was a lot easier for me to do than mindfulness because that requires a lot more patience, a lot more, you know, calmness and depth, which I wasn't there yet. Um, and recently, actually, when I came back to Singapore after the pandemic hit New York, the first book that my father handed me was Truth to Be Told by Om Swamiji.
Oh,
So I read
beautiful.
that, yeah, I read that book and it was such a wonderful read. I was so inspired by his journey and, getting to where he is from where it started it was so
Right.
well written. I really, really enjoyed the book. So yeah,
Absolutely.
my journey is continuing. It never ends. So I'm looking
Absolutely. And such beautifully said words that this is a journey. Mindfulness, as well as meditation, is a journey. And that's how you progress every single day. There are no deadlines here. You evolve as a person, you become a better version of yourself with each passing day. So on that note, which one was your favorite chapter? But which one, like, the chapter that resonated the most with you? Anything you would like to share from that particular chapter that left you in awe?
So I think when I went to New York, so my first year of university, it was really chaotic because I was, in a different country living by myself. As a teenager, like there's so many changes in my body, in my mind, so many things are going on. And I think that yoga kind of took the back end at that point in my life.
Sure.
So it wasn't something that I was doing every day. It was just, I got so caught up in other things that I kind of, just forgot about it for a little bit. And that was not great because but what happened was I noticed so many changes in myself because I was missing such a big part of my life, right? And then after my first year, I went for my 500-hour teacher training in Mysore, and this was a game changer because
Sure.
this really it like highlighted to me the role that yoga plays in my life and the
Absolutely.
role that meditation plays in my life, which is
Right.
a very big one. So
Absolutely.
I think this happens quite often where students will give up yoga for a little bit because it just there. I mean, it's true we're living in like the 21st century. There's so many things happening, and sometimes
Right.
it does just take the back burner, which is
Correct.
fine. And but you'll always find your way back to it. So yeah, I think that was a very important chapter of my life. I had to go through that in order to, come out of it better and more
Nice.
involved in yoga. So
Very nice. Glad to hear that. And I had a very similar experience. I've spent months with the different gurus across the globe, and I learned yoga. And there was a time when I could hardly concentrate on one thing. And I understand that even you had this, in early days of your of course starting your education, when you were dealing with concentration as well. Attention was a big concern for you. But I think, but I guess pursuing mindfulness also helped you in certain areas like building focus, concentration, and so on and so forth in your life. So did that happen post your yoga course, or it was something that was you were building gradually because of pursuing mindfulness in your life?
I think the mindfulness aspect really came into it during my first teacher training. So
Okay.
it was very interesting the way it came about. So I really enjoyed yoga as a physical form, as a physical activity, but I never was able to meditate. And during class, Manoji, when he was lecturing to us, he talked about the state of mindfulness or the state of meditation. And it's a state of like, it's just completely in the present moment. There's nothing else. It's this pure moment of bliss. And listening to it, I was like, wow, I just really want to feel that. When am I going to be able to feel that? And I would ask Manoj, I'd be like, why is this happening? Why can't I get there? And he he very beautifully explained it to me. He said, okay, if you are an insomniac and you're not getting sleep, are you going to force yourself to sleep? And I was like, no, because I can't. He said, yes, because the first step to being able to go to sleep is to realize that you can't go to sleep and then to accept it. And once you've accepted it, then you can move forward and then you can, find a solution onto how to get there. And he said it's the same thing with mindfulness or with meditation. You have to first realize that you're not there yet. It's a gradual process. Accept
Absolutely.
it that I'm not there yet. And then slowly move on. If you're in a rush, it's really hard to get there. And for some people, it can be a challenge. For some people, it comes naturally, which is totally fine as well. But for an individual like me, it was a challenge. It took a long time for me to get there. And when I did, it was totally worth the journey. So,
Great, great. Really nice to hear that. So that brings me to the interesting and something that I have always been, personally speaking, I have always been an area of interest, and something that I really wanted to pursue as well at personal level. The you're doing some exciting research, and you're pursuing a lot of study and learnings in the field of neuropsychology, and how you link neuropsychology with meditation and yoga. So I would love to know from you, what research are you doing? If you can elaborate more about linking neuropsychology with yoga and meditation, and let us know what the research is all about. And I'm going to then ask you to shed some light on the research insights, like what we all can take away from that research.
of course. So at NYU, I'm working at the Mindful Education Lab, and we're just a small group of researchers, and we want to study how mindfulness can be implemented in different areas. So we study mindfulness as an intervention in the education system by implementing it in different public schools in the US, how it can be implemented in psychotherapy, so with clinical disorders, and how it can be implemented within like empirical psychology, so within cognitive psychology, neuropsychology, social psychology, etc. The area of focus that I'm really interested in is cognitive psychology or neuropsychology. So what I'm studying specifically is the intersection between technology, cognitive psychology, and mindfulness. So I've realized, since smartphones have become such a prominent part of our lives, the research on the impact of smartphones has really exponentially increased, and a lot of the research is saying that our smartphones have the ability to occupy our attention while we're not even using it. So my phone is probably using some of my headspace right now unconsciously, and that's a problem, because if my phone is using that attention, then I'm not able to apply that attention on other tasks, right? So this is an issue for everyone. It doesn't matter whether you're a student, you're working, this is a problem, because this is going to impact how you get your tasks done. So I'm looking for different ways that we can combat this issue. And one of the things I'm looking at is mindfulness. So I'm asking the question, okay, can mindfulness, because we know that mindfulness increases our ability to pay attention. That's the whole basis of mindfulness. So can it then help students, or just regular people, help them pay attention to things even in the presence of their smartphones? Can it help combat this negative impact of technology? And so far,
Absolutely.
I think the research has been very promising. Mindfulness is one of the fastest growing interventions in education and psychotherapy, even in medicine and in the workplace as well. So the research on it has been very robust, and it's been very positive. In
Fantastic.
cognitive psychology specifically, it has shed light on how consistent mindfulness practice can impact our attention. We're able to pay more attention. And but the really cool thing about this research is that it's not just superficial. So it's not just with our attention or with our memory. they have done research now looking at brain scans of long-term meditators and compared it to non-meditators, and they've seen that there are pathways that have literally changed in meditators. They're not only able to pay attention better, their brain is wired in a different way because of
Absolutely.
mindfulness practice. So that
Right.
shows the depth of the impact that mindfulness can have on you, which is
Absolutely.
great.
And that brings me to the question, have you also seen any progress in the field of using meditation as a tool to cure a certain forms of mental illness? Any particular insight that you can share in that area?
I think that mindfulness might not be a cure, but it can be part of the treatment for mental illness.
Sure,
So instead
sure.
of thinking about mindfulness, yoga, meditation, instead of thinking of that as alternative medicine, we can think of it as complementary medicine. Because,
True.
of course, if there's a schizophrenic, mindfulness is not going to cure that illness, but it can help manage symptoms alongside other forms of treatment like medicine or psychotherapy. So I think there's very promising research right now done on how mindfulness can be a part of the treatment, which I definitely think it can. But yes, I think that in terms of specific disorders, the biggest thing that has been studied is stress. So we know for sure that mindfulness can really reduce stress in individuals. Consistent mindfulness practice has really shown to reduce stress levels in all types of people. We know that it improves attention. They have done a lot of studies now with children who have ADHD. Consistent mindfulness practice has shown to improve their ability to pay attention. So there are certain studies that have looked at specific disorders, but of course, even with all of that, it's not a cure. It's part of the treatment. But I think something that's more interesting is the I guess how we can use mindfulness as a way to prevent mental illness. It's not just about curing, but we can also use it to prevent mental illness, which is a more promising line of research, and it can have a lot more impact on people.
Sure, absolutely. Tell me about from your personal life how I understand that you did talk about how you were able to improve your focus and attention with the help of meditation. Tell me about how has been your mindfulness journey and what is the kind of success that you had in areas which were disconnected, which were not like directly connected with meditation and yoga. So what I'm trying to say is how you were able to be better in other non-related fields. It could be research, it could be academics, it could be anything else. How are you able to use mindfulness and meditation into other streams of your life?
I think one of the biggest things that I learned was how to listen. And as an aspiring psychotherapist, listening is the most important skill I need. So, mindfulness really teaches you how to be patient and it teaches you how to listen. Like a big part of being mindful is just not having your thoughts interfere with what's happening around you. It's just to accept whatever is happening around you. And a big thing that you can gain out of that is listening skills. So
Absolutely.
that's definitely something that has improved. And another thing, I think this goes along with mindfulness, however, is like just getting to know yourself better. I think in our day-to-day life, right now we have so many things, laptops, phones, jobs, like so much stuff is going on. We really don't spend a lot of time with ourselves for the sake of spending time with ourselves. So when you're not sleeping, when you're not reading, you're not on your phone, not listening to music, you're not really spending time with yourself. But when you're doing mindfulness, that's just you with you. So it can, I think, really teach you a lot about yourself, which is, I think, very important. And that's definitely something that mindfulness has given me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for me as well, like for self-awareness was the stepping stone and self contemplation is how actually my mindfulness journey started. So glad to hear that. Glad to know about it from your side of story. Great to know. So that brings me to the section of I'm just going to quickly ask you 5 questions, and you got to it's a rapid fire, so you have to tell me like very like in an instant. You have to tell me like you just have to give one word answer, and I'm going to quickly ask you the questions, and I just want you to respond like in a flash. So here you go. Okay. Yoga research.
Yoga.
I don't know. You can't take so much time, so I'm going to ask you one more time. Okay. So I'm gonna. So now when I say a question, you just have to like answer. So you can't think. Okay. So the first thing that comes to your mind, just say it. Okay. So coffee or tea?
Coffee.
About a Bollywood actor that you would like to teach yoga.
Shahid Kapoor.
Shah Rukh Khan. Okay. Okay. Why Shah Rukh Khan?
Because he's King Khan.
Okay. 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 If there is one person in your life that you think really needs mindfulness, who's that?
My brother.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Okay. Your dream in one word.
Sorry?
Your dream in one word.
Clinical psychologist.
Oh my God. Okay, clinical psychology is your dream. Great. Okay, so this was the rapid fire, and thank you so much for being so spontaneous. And but I'm gonna ask you a little bit more about Shah Rukh Khan. So are you a fan of Shah Rukh Khan, and that's why you want to teach yoga to him?
Yes, definitely. I grew up watching all of his movies, of course. So, yeah. And my name is also Anjali, that's like a part of,
Okay, Rahul and Anjali connection. Okay,
yeah.
got it. Okay, great, fantastic. So, Anjali, just we're pretty much on the on the last part of our section today, and want to know from your side is you've had you're an inspiration. You're an inspiration for the youth. You are like you're young, like you're in your 20s, and still you have accomplished a lot of things, and I'm sure you want to accomplish a lot going ahead. Is there a tip that you would like to give to the young folks who are pursuing different kinds of things in their life? Is there any recommendation that you would like to make to the youth of like not just youth of India but worldwide? Like what kind of recommendation that you can put forward to the youth?
Um, of course, I'm still a youth. I'm still learning and growing. But from like up till now, I think one of the biggest things I've learned is just to be open-minded. It's really easy to be close-minded because then you don't have to think. But if you're open-minded, you're inviting yourself to explore different things. You're allowing yourself to, grow as a person. And it's challenging to be open minded because you have to think and you have to consider different things. But in order to really become a full person and become yourself fully, it's important to be open minded. And something, when I was getting into yoga, I really was a very close minded individual because I was unwilling to think of yoga as anything other than this magical, mystical practice when it's really, really a lot more than that. So I would definitely, that would be my one tip, be open minded.
Great. Um, so, is there anything else, Anjali, that you would like to share from your personal life as well as your professional life for our viewers today?
Um, I don't think so. I think we've covered a lot. I would definitely,
Sure.
say again that uh, it's a journey to get to, to mindfulness is a journey. And today, I think mindfulness has really been commoditized a lot. Like
Right.
everywhere, people are selling mindfulness, do this, do that. And it kind of gets lost in that because it's something that like people want, but the whole point of mindfulness that it's not like a material thing, right? So it's
Absolutely.
not something that you can buy. You have to work hard, you have to practice, you have to be calm, and slowly it will come to you. So I think a lot of my students also, even in yoga, they're like, when will I be able to do headstand? When will I be able to do? It's not about the rush. It's about
Well, well, I was one of those students 10 years back. The way when I started pursuing yoga, I used to trouble my one of my guruji, and every time like I used to walk up to him and I was like, "Hey, when will you teach me headstand?" And he's like, "Hey, have patience." You're gonna break one or two of your bones if you practice headstand like right away. So it is time. Let's give it time. And today I can proudly say I can be on a certain any kind of headstand variant for like 45 minutes straight. So yes, I completely agree with you that takes time. There's no you don't have to be in a rush to reach your yoga goals or meditation or mindfulness goals. So great. It was lovely talking to you, Anjali. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It is wonderful to know your experiences, and it was amazing to know about your life journey. And I'm sure you have inspired a lot of people to pursue meditation and mindfulness in their lives. Thank you so much. This is Amisha Sethi. I am the Chief Awareness Officer at Black Lotus. Thank you so much for listening to us today. And stay safe and take care of yourself. Namaste.